Hi everyone, Sniper here. Really proud to bring you this video. It is the first in a series of DPS videos I'm going to do, and this is what I call a cheap DPS build. I'm going to show you using the Breen Chalgrat warship that we got from the winter event, that set up with really no special gear at all. You can get some decent DPS out of it. So as you can see, I'm using green uncommon Mark 12 anti-proton plasma, not anti-proton, plasma beams, just crit Ds. Some of this gear is from my proper DPS build, but there are no lobi consoles, it's just all standard gear. So the deflector is just the standard Delta Alliance deflector Mark 12 as you get it from the rep system. The reason I've got that is because it's a tanky deflector and it boosts subsystem power to shields and auxiliary. The impulse engine and shield are what I call the Nukara two-piece. So it's the Nukara impulse engine and the Nukara shield. Now they're designed to work together in that when they're put on the ship as a two-piece, they give you an extra 2.5% all weapon damage. Now that doesn't seem like much, okay, but for some reason Cryptic have expressed this 2.5% different than they express all the other consoles and stuff in the game. So as you can see, this TAC console is 28.1%. That 2.5% is based on final damage. So extrapolate that out, it's about an extra 10 or 11% bonus damage. Now the warp core is a Spire standard Mark 12 warp core. It's got amp and weapons boost auxiliary. Now the reason why amp's important, I'll show you here, is because for every subsystem that you get over 75, you get an extra 3.8% damage. And you can see on this build, just sitting here, I've already got 3 subsystems 75 or more, so that's an extra, what, nearly 12%. Okay, so an amp warp core is very, very important. Moving on, red matter capacitor. Some of you may have this. Cryptic give it away every once in a while. I got weapons batteries and a subspace field modulator from one of the early story missions. Console-wise, TAC consoles, just blue Mark 12 plasma infusers, 4 of them. I have 2 embassy consoles that boost plasma damage. Now I've got flow capacitors because these are from my proper DPS build. Now unless you've got a plasmonic leech, don't use flow capacitors, use a shield emitter to boost your shield healing ability, but make sure it boosts plasma damage as well. You get those from our embassy. Okay, so I've got effectively 2 of those on the ship. I've got a 0-point energy conduit from the Romulan rep that's been upgraded to Ultra Rare Mark 14. I've got a upgraded to Mark 14 assimilator module which works in conjunction with the cutting beam. The proc for the 2-piece of this is that you get a 2.5% chance to have an Omega weapons amplifier. So for 3 seconds, when that proc activates, you basically don't drain any weapons power when firing your weapons. The binaural gel pack from the Delta rep, a Fleet Neutronium Mark 11 console, and the Undine Hydrodynamics Compensator Reputation console. So moving on to bridge officers. Now I should say that I'm on my Romulan turn. As a Romulan, you have the ability to have all your bridge officers with a special space trait. With Federation, only your tactical officers you can get with this space trait, and you have to buy them from our embassy, and that space trait is called Superior Romulan Operative. What Superior Romulan Operative gives you is 2% critical chance, 5% critical severity, and if you cloak, it reduces your cloak cooldown. So on this particular build, all 5 of my bridge officers have have that. And if this was a Federation build, I'd only be able to have 2 of them because there's 2 tacticals. So the abilities I have, I'm using Emergency Powder Shields 1, Tac Team 1, Attack Pattern Beta 1, Fire at Will 3, Tac Pattern Beta 3, Tac Team 1, Beam Fire at Will 2, Emergency Powder Weapons 1, Directed Energy Modulation 1, and in Science, Hazard Emitters 1, Polarized Hull 2, and Transfer Shield Strength 3. So duty officers, some of them can be quite expensive, but these are relatively cheap in comparison. I'm running 3 Damage Control Engineers, which reduce the cooldown to any Emergency Powder subsystem ability. Now I'm running 3 of those and they're just blue. The purple ones are quite expensive. These blue ones are relatively cheap. So when you run 3, see I'm going to press Emergency Powder Weapons here. It's normally got a 45-second cooldown and it lasts for 30 seconds. And as you can see, that reduced immediately down to its what you call a global cooldown for that ability. So when that ability runs out, it's effectively able to be activated again. Now, it won't always do that, but it should do it most of the time. Got a Warp Core Engineer that when you activate any Emergency Powder subsystem ability, it gives you there's a chance to increase all your subsystem power. And what that does is, see the engine power there, I don't have over 75. That will take it over 75 and thus give me an extra 3.8% damage. Now this is probably the most expensive duty officer here, is 1 or 2 million, but he does give extra abilities depending on the type of battery you use. So every time you use a weapons battery, you get an extra 10% damage for 18.4 seconds. Now that's on my specific build, 18.4 seconds, because in my skill tree I've got 6 points in Starship batteries. And finally, this guy is also a little bit expensive, 1 or 2 million, but he reduces battery cooldown by 80%. The purple ones are ridiculously expensive. They cut cooldown by half. I'd settle for 80%. And finally, traits. Okay, starting with personal traits. Most of these are the standard ones, but there are 2 purchase ones in there. So first one's accurate, gives an extra 10% accuracy. Beam barrage you get when you achieve level 15 in the Beams crafting school. Romulan operative, again that's standard to Romulan characters. Crippling fire, which reduces enemy accuracy when you critically hit them. Elusive gives you an extra 10% defense, makes you hard to hit. Give your all you get when you reach level 15 in engineering. Now these are the 2 purchase ones. Intense focus. Over a period, for every 15 seconds that you're in battle, and it stacks 4 times, you increase your accuracy and shield penetration. And pattern recognition, the same. It increases your defense and shield hardness for every 15 seconds that you're in combat. It stacks 4 times. So they are, I guess, relatively expensive, but not impossible to save for. And the last one is last ditch effort. So when I go into go down fighting mode, I get a lot of extra damage resistance to help me survive. My Starship traits, okay, pretty much the standard Romulan ones, and the 2 that you get from the specialization section, Pedal to the Metal and Improved Predictive Algorithms. Now you have to complete the pilot and intelligence officer trees to get those. Tactical retreat you get from one of the Romulan ships. Basically when I get to 25% hull, I zoom away and become untargetable and hard to hit for a little while. Space reputation. My standard ones, advanced targeting systems give extra critical severity. Precision gives extra critical chance. Tactical advantage. As the enemy gets below 50% hull, his damage resistance goes down, making him quicker to kill. And the last one is auxiliary power configuration offense. Now that's the reason why I've got a warp core that that boost auxiliary power from weapons power. So on a auxiliary power of 78, I've got an extra 3.9% damage, but when it's 108 from my red matter capacitor, I've got an extra 5.4% damage. And that's pretty much it as far as the build goes. So now I'm going to show you a infected space advanced with a team from the 30,000 DPS channel. And my goal is actually 30,000 DPS. Now I do apologise, even though there is the combat log window on my screen, I didn't actually turn it on, but at the end of the match it shows you what I get. So yeah, look at how I pilot the ship, because gear is only 50% of the equation. It's how you pilot and your team as well. So enjoy the show, and I hope you found this video informative, and I hope it helps you out. See you later, guys.